This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome, Dr. Rick Leskowitz, to the show. And we're excited to talk to him about his work, about his book, about all his time as a research affiliate at Harvard Medical School, and so much more. So, coming to you live today. Are you in Massachusetts as well?
I'm in Western Massachusetts, the scenic foothills of the Berkshires. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, welcome to the show today, and we are excited you're here and to get to know all about you, about the book, of course, as well, The Mystery of Life Energy, and all that you do. So, boy, oh boy, I'm excited to know you, a little intimidated by all the work you've done. Very impressive, Doc. So, let's start off by getting to know you. Tell us just a little bit about yourself as we begin here today.
Well, currently I'm retired. I did have a long career as a psychiatrist in Boston. I worked in the pain management program at Spaulding Rehabilitation Hospital,
Wow.
where we had a holistic approach. We didn't try new medicines and injections, but we trained the patients to learn how to manage their own pain. And a big part of it was stress management and using their mind. So things like meditation and biofeedback were really important. And we also got into things like energy-based therapy. So that was sort of the springboard for all this work.
Wow. Okay, I'm just going to back up just a little bit further, okay? Where you born, where you raised, how did you even get into the medical field and, do all you've done? So give me a little bit of the background, how you got into this field, to start. Tell me about like your childhood and kind of what inspired you.
Well, I had a happy childhood.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, yes, it's good. I grew up in a suburb of Boston, and I think a big influence was the fact that my dad was a research scientist. He studied rats and the immune response and let me look in his microscope. And that was really an eye-opener, if I may make a bad pun, because
Yes.
it's very cool that you can understand other things that weren't visible at first go. I happened to be good at science, so in high school and college, I was sort of on that path. But college in the late 60s, early 70s was a time of rebellion. So anti-war, anti-authority, and even the way we think is a kind of authority. So I was going to medicine, but kind of wasn't sold on it. I took a couple of years off, traveled overseas, saw other cultures, and they do things very differently, and came back to medical school. And I wasn't all that happy by medical school because for every disease, they had this label. They would call it idiopathic, a word I'd never heard before, but it basically is a fancy Greek word for meaning we don't know what's going on. That was unfortunately very common. So I got very interested in other approaches. First, it was just stress and illness, but a friend invited me to a lecture on energy healing, and that was a real eye opener because this woman, Reverend Rosalind Briere, she could sort of see what was going on behind the scenes. The physical body was showing something, but the causes were invisible, but she could perceive it. She was a sensitive, an intuitive, a clairvoyant, whatever term you want to use. So I studied with her for many years and learned about how to manipulate my own energy and the energy of my patients. And that really made a big, big difference and has colored everything I've done since then.
Well, you've been a leader before your time, right? My goodness. 'Cause now, a lot of times we hear now about holistic medicine. I love how the Eastern and Western world both working together. But a while
Yeah.
ago, that wasn't the case. So you really were on the forefront of all of this, Dr. Leskowitz.
Yeah, I got some strange looks in medical school when I would ask the professor, what effect would meditation have on this disease? I had just learned how to meditate before starting school, and I guess I was sort of filled with the zeal of wanting to convert everybody. But back then, there was absolutely there were maybe two studies on the effect of meditation, so it was like just total mismatch. But just to show how things have changed
Yeah,
nowadays,
for
thousands of
sure.
studies on meditation. Medical students even learn how to meditate as part of their curriculum. So it's been fascinating and fabulous to see how things have finally evolved.
So let me ask, I mean, over the years, I'm sure there was quite a few obstacles, right? As you mentioned in the notes, like quackery back in the 70s, right? And this was far out stuff, and now it's very common. So was it hard to get over that hurdle to have people kind of understand and respect you and your opinion back then?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Part of I think what saved me was I have a high level ability to be oblivious to what other people are thinking and feeling. So it didn't bother me that much. Although, I wish there had been more open acceptance, but I always found people who were on the same wavelength. There turned out to be a group of doctors called the American Holistic Medical Association. That was really important to come together and, find your tribe, as they say, but other people who talk the same language. And, each of us went back to our hospitals and clinics and bit by bit, by bit by bit. And now it's the new generation is much more open to these things because they didn't go through the same kind of training that we went through. And not to be too harsh about it, it was a form of brainwashing that you only paid attention to what was right here. And these things like life energy, acupuncture, that was quackery, as you said. It was not valid. But now we've got a lot of research and a lot of personal experience to put our money in that, put our eggs in that basket.
Wow. Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I want to move on and talk um, right now about your book, right? I think we're here to kind of focus on that, but there's still so much to you. So I don't know what order you wanted to go in, but did you want to get into this to start, or is there anything else you want to share before we start talking about the books?
No, because the book is actually was my opportunity to step back and just sort of reflect on all these things that have
Right.
happened over the years. It was actually my COVID project. We had moved out to Western Mass about 10 years ago, and I was tapering down my hospital work. And then when COVID came, I didn't do any more. But I've always liked to write, and so the book kind of came together, and it talks about everything from like the history in Western medicine about how energy-based therapies have always been sort of taboo. Even the first Western doctor who used energy was Franz Mesmer. People know about mesmerism as he was some kind of charlatan or quack, but actually he talked about animal magnetism, the idea
Oh,
that
wow.
living beings had their own magnetic field, and he manipulated it by moving his hands and smoothing things out. And he actually had some wonderful results, but he got in trouble with the medical establishment because all the wealthy patients in Paris were going to him instead. So they convened a royal commission that investigated him, and it was sort of a hit job, and he got run out of town basically. So it's taken a long time for people to acknowledge it. Yes, there is a magnetic field around the human body. We can measure it, we can detect it, we can manipulate it. So it's back. It only took 250 years to to come full circle, but here we are.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I want to hear. So hold on. Here we go. The Mystery of Life Energy is your latest book. How many books do you have total?
I've written two and I've edited three.
Okay.
The other one I wrote was about a really fun project from 15 years or so, or 20 years ago. I'm a sports fan. I'm not a particularly good athlete, but growing up in Boston, the Red Sox, the baseball team was the big thing, but they were terrible for many, many years until 2004. Everything came together and they won the World Series. So I got interested in that from the group energy point of view. What was the team chemistry like, and what input did fan energy have? And I ended up doing a documentary film about it with my cousin, the filmmaker. And we measured things like team chemistry and how positive vibes can spread. We measured the fan energy at the ballpark, and it came together in a nice book. And the film is called the Joy of Socks, and people can watch it now. It was on PBS about 10 years ago,
Oh,
but
wow.
it's free now. If you go to the website for my book, it's www.themysteryoflifeenergy.com. Just on resources, it's the first video. Then you just click and watch, and it's a lot of fun. I have to say, it stood up pretty well over the years.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. And then, so then after this book, when did you start on the next book and tell us a little bit more? Obviously, we're going to focus on that, I think, right, for today?
Yeah, so that was while I was still working, and I think this book took shape over the last 5 years or so. And in it, I talk about everything from why I've come to believe that energy is the key to health. And, every other healing tradition around the world believes in energy except for Western medicine. So if people have studied like yoga, they hear about prana or acupuncture. It's well known about the chi that flows through these pathways. That we now have ways of validating that those things actually exist and are important to health. So I write about that. I write about one. I mentioned I work in chronic pain. There's one very unusual pain syndrome called phantom limb pain, when somebody has an amputation
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
still
Mm-hmm.
the limb is still there, and it's painful a lot of the time. And it turns out I'm not the only one who experienced this, but actually this is a video. So if the
Oh,
people in
wow.
the audience want to
Yeah.
play around with the sensation between your hands, you start from a couple of feet away and come closer and back. Even if you close your eyes, you can sense it a little better. That
It's
people often feel maybe about a foot apart, kind of a pressure or a tingling.
like a heat.
And so what is that? Yeah, it's something. It's not just you can feel the warmth when your hands are really close,
Yeah.
but there's something else there. So
And
this is the
energy.
yes, exactly. So you have the ability to feel your energy field. So
Oh,
the techniques that smooth it out, just like Mesmer did. And I was doing that with a amputee fellow because nothing else was working. And for some reason, I kept feel I you could feel that pressure everywhere. But when I got to the part where his leg was missing, I felt that same pressure, even though his leg wasn't
yeah.
there. So where was that coming from? So
Oh,
it gave the idea that the energy field is always there.
yeah.
And if you cut a limb off, the energy is still there. It's just like what we maybe in seventh grade, you did this experiment where you sprinkled iron filings on a piece of paper and put a magnet underneath it, and you could see those lines of force around the magnet. If you
Mm-hmm.
sweep the iron filings away, the magnetic field is still there. So I think the cells in your hand are just like iron filings, and the
Oh my God.
energy.
Remember that little guy when I was little? I used to have the little what's his name with the hair? The little magnetic. You take the little
Oh yeah,
wand
yeah,
and it goes over
right,
the guy's head to make him have the little iron hair. Yeah.
right, exactly. So it's the
That's what
same
I'm thinking of. I just threw that out actually because my kids are 10 and 8, but I had one in the garage. So I'm very familiar with the guy, the magnetic
thing.
force of the wand.
That's what it is. And the iron filings do whatever the magnetic field tells them
Yep.
to do. And so if
Mm-hmm.
your magnetic field is strong and healthy, your iron filings of your cells will line up in a healthy way. But if something happens through stress or
Yeah.
whatever, and your magnetism starts to dwindle, then the cells will start to dribble out of shape and the guy's hair will fall off.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how it works. So I wrote about that. I wrote about group energies because I'm really interested in what happens when people come together. Sometimes you can feel the vibe with somebody else, and is that just your imagination, or is there really something there? And I think there really is something there. So that's what a whole chapter in the book was on, and not just the doctor-patient relationship for sure. If the doctor is in a positive energy state, then the patient gets, you know, vibes along with it. And there's a comparison with tuning forks. If your kids have ever played with tuning forks, you should, if they haven't, you should get them some because it's a lot of fun to play with. But you know how it is. You bung one of them and the other one starts to vibrate, even though they're not touching. That something resonates between the two of them. And I think people are like that too. Like you with your guests, you get on the same wavelength and you start to vibe and things.
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
So I think it's the same way with doctors and patients or any combination, and not just one-on-one, especially in group settings. If everybody has their favorite kind of group setting, whether it's a baseball game or a concert or meditation retreat or what have you, when you get a lot of people vibrating together at the same time, really big things can happen. And that was one of the other things I got interested in studying.
And now here you are. And you mentioned you're retired, but you're not really retired because you're still working and you're doing so much. And we're going to talk even more today about this energy psychology. And you mentioned tapping or EFT. Is that something you kind of want to elaborate more on a little?
Yeah, I think that's an important topic to talk about because, there's probably dozens, if not hundreds, of different energy-based therapies. But the one that I've been most impressed with is one that combines a little bit of acupuncture and a little bit of common sense psychology. If there's something that bugs you, you gradually expose yourself to it and you can desensitize it. But if you use acupressure, it helps the process. So let me take off my glasses for a second. So in
Sure.
this emotional freedom techniques, or EFT as it's called, the patient will notice something. Do you want to be a guinea pig here?
Sure, absolutely. Get me involved. I love this. I love this. Yes, yes.
Okay. So just think of something that bugs you, not a major life stress, but something that you wish you hadn't said that or whatever, and just notice where in your body you feel it and how strong it is on a scale of 0 to 10.
It's my stomach and it's like a 9, 8 or 9.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
no, I didn't mean for you to do something big, but
Oh,
so
it to me it was just happened yesterday, but it happens all the time, so it was just fresh on my mind.
yeah. So the first step is to make a statement of self-acceptance. Even though I have these feelings when I think about that situation, I accept myself fully and completely. And tap on this while you're doing that.
Okay, hold
So
on. So I just take my hand and
tap on see this part here, the
decide.
karate chop point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I have these feelings when I think about that situation,
Even though I have these feelings when I think about that situation,
I accept myself fully and completely.
I accept myself fully and completely.
Okay. Take a deep breath. And now we'll just go through the series of points. I'll take off my glasses again.
Okay.
And just be tapping like in the inner part of your eyebrows here. Just say all those emotions.
All those emotions,
Now the outer edge here, the anger, the
the
sadness.
anger, the sadness.
Okay, deep breath. Myself, even if I feel embarrassed about it.
Even if I feel embarrassed about it.
And tap just above your upper lip. And then under your lower lip. And you say all those emotions.
All those emotions.
Another deep breath. And then we finish up with a couple of points here. Your collarbone, the knobs.
Clavicle, like, uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just underneath the knobs of those collarbones. It might be a little tender.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then crossing over in your armpits next to the last point. Yeah, just do one of those.
Okay.
Just feeling that, just saying that situation, just that situation.
That situation.
And then the last point just on the top of your head. Okay. And then one last deep breath. And then just take a minute to notice how you're feeling right now. What do you notice inside?
My stomach is not as hurty, and that's
Oh,
not even
good.
a word, but you know what I mean. It just came that way. It's not as
Yeah.
hurting. Yeah. Like it's not just from tapping. What is this? What is this? Could you share what's happening when we're saying and when we're doing, when we're breathing?
Yeah. I
Wow.
think you know how emotions have a charge
Yeah.
and you sort of feel your body get revved up in certain ways, and they locate in certain parts of your body that correspond to energy centers. But when you make a statement of self acceptance, that helps to let go of it. And then pushing on these points moves the energy that's stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you do
Wow.
that sigh of relief, that just releases it so that your whole system is kind of and you can still remember the thing that
Yeah.
happened. It doesn't have that same intensity. And if there's still some left, you can repeat the process, and maybe there's one aspect of it that you want to tune into, something you said or something you did
Yeah.
that keeps it going. But that's
Wow.
that's the gist of it. So that's EFT, and I appreciate your being
For
willing to be
me,
a guinea.
it's drawing the energy of the cats. My cat keeps jumping up here, which is now bizarre. She's a baby and she's never done this. So I don't know, there's something maybe in the energy field that you're helping me pull out and attract because she's never jumped on my lap.
Yeah,
She's only 3 months,
well,
but yeah.
that's interesting. Well, animals are more sensitive to energy than humans are.
It's
So
amazing. That is, I'm like, what's going on? Look, again, she just won't stop jumping. And this never happens. She's never, ever, ever jumped on my lap yet. Oh my
wow.
goodness.
So
She's
you're an
healing. I'm an
energy
energy, am I a conduit? What's the
you're an
word?
energy healer now, whether you want to or not. You're radiating that energy, and the cat is sensitive enough to tune in. So very
Wow.
cool. Very cool.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We still have more time today. We still have another 5 minutes left in your show. We're not cutting you short. So, this technique, what else is it helping people with?
Well, one of the most exciting uses of it is with post-traumatic stress disorder, that, a memory of something bad that happened can still trigger your whole body to respond, even if it's 20, 30, 40 years later. So as people are becoming more aware, for example, combat veterans have PTSD, people who serve in stressful jobs have PTSD, and people in everyday life have PTSD. So there have been some really good studies showing that this kind of tapping technique, just a few sessions, it's not like years and years of therapy. It could be a half dozen sessions,
Wow.
and people will no longer meet the diagnostic label of PTSD. There's studies with combat veterans who, after 6 sessions, they no longer reach the label of the criteria of PTSD. So these are very dramatic findings, and it's getting more and more accepted because a lot of research has been done on it. And again, there's some video clips in my book. There's the national organization that I would recommend for people who want to follow up on it. It's called the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology, ACEP. And their website has a lot of research for people who want to look into it, or videos of interviews with veterans before and after. In a way, it's kind of hard to believe because it's so different than the usual take a few
Yeah.
pills every day and just tone things down and zonk you out, come alive again. And it's really been wonderful to be part of that organization and to help them move along in their work.
Amazing. Wow. And let me ask for those out there now, are you also working with people? Like, I know we're here promoting the book, but are you still doing these, live virtual sessions to help people with this type of energy healing and all?
No, no, I haven't. I've been drawn more towards the teaching angle and writing
Yeah.
about it. I'll do demos with people like this from time to time. But there are many practitioners. Anybody who's
Yeah.
interested, they can go to that website, and there's a tab, find a practitioner, and you can find someone in your area to work with. Or, as is happening now since COVID, you don't have to be there. You can do it online, and just like we just did. Somebody can guide you through it and get feedback and adjust it. And so it's quite remarkable how things have changed. And, I think it is a challenge to mainstream medicine, the mainstream psychiatry, because
Yeah.
you have to prescribe medicines, and pharmaceutical companies are probably not thrilled, but this is the way of the future, I think.
Well, I also just want to point out earlier, I was taking a look. Again, we're talking about the mystery of life energy, and this book has rave reviews from so many different people in different fields. Can I just read like a quote or two of some testimonials? I mean, there's some
Sure.
pretty impressive ones, right? So
Sure.
we got
Please.
Dr. Peter Wayne. He talks about in this provocative, engaging book, Dr. Leskowitz shares uncensored insights into topics that are rarely discussed in orthodox medicine and argues that medicine can only benefit from going beyond its focus on reductionism and the tangible material world. This book will help you understand the apparently paradoxical phrase, I'll see it when I believe it. And here's also, we have Larry Burke, another doctor, saying that you elegantly discuss a broad spectrum of human energy topics, while his irreverent, humorous stories and brilliant scientific insights encourage us to embrace a new metaphor for healing based on an energetic paradigm. If you want to know how to make your heart frequencies more coherent and get into the zone of peak performance, well, this is the book for you. Sue Morter tells us that you are ahead of the curve and just in the nick of time. Dr. Leskowitz's work is exactly what is needed now if we are ever to harness what is actually true about human potential. Witty and insightful in its transformative revealing of a more enlightened world of healing and forward thinking. This is a must read on every level. So honored to be talking to you, my goodness, and, to learn more about the book and, of course, how you're helping so many people. And let me just say, how can people purchase the book? Would you mind sharing how we can contact you?
Yeah, there's a lot of information at the website, including how to buy the book. So www.mysteryoflifeenergy.com, and one of the tabs is
Yeah.
buy the book. You can get it at Amazon or through the publisher Inner Traditions, and there's actually a lot of information on the website
Yeah.
under resources, and there's photos and samples. So I think that will whet people's appetite. Here's a picture of the cover, if I can.
Hey, beautiful. Biofield healing, phantom limbs, group energies, and Gaia consciousness. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, that's a fancy word for earth energies, that the earth
Thank
has
you.
its own biofield. And
I've learned a
know,
lot today from you. My goodness. Okay, say it again. What does it mean?
well, it's the earth has its own energies and consciousness, and places like sacred sites, whether it's the pyramids or Stonehenge or things like that, they have their own special energy that we can work with, we can feel, and it's very cool. It's very cool.
It is. I can't. And how witty you are. I'm noticing that, and everyone's raving about the humor in there. Well, we're going to talk again soon, I hope, right? So we'll get more insight into you, the book, and the people you're helping. One more time before we go, I just want to thank you so much, Dr. Rick Leskowitz. Please go to the mysteryoflifeenergy.com. Check out his work, and in the meantime, I hope you have a great day, and we shall connect again soon.
Thank you very much, Jill. It's been my
Thank you
pleasure.
for enlightening all of us. Enjoy the rest of your day, darling. Bye-bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.